All right, let's jump right in. We hear about the power of data all the time, right? But how does all that, that noise actually turn into a clear signal that can help a business win? That's exactly what we're going to break down here.
I mean, this is the question of our time, isn't it? Every single click you make, every purchase, every social media post you like, it all creates a little piece of data. But by itself, it's just this chaotic mess of information.
And that's the story we're telling today. How you go from drowning in this giant sea of raw facts to having the kind of clarity that lets you make really smart, confident decisions. It's all about creating order from chaos.
So where on earth do you even start? Well, the very first step, the absolute foundation, is giving all that chaos some kind of structure. You've got to organize it before you can even hope to understand it.
So let's get down to brass tacks. What even is data? Think of it like raw material. Just numbers, words, images, clicks. By themselves, they don't really mean anything. They're just the Lego bricks waiting for someone to come along with a blueprint.
And you'll quickly find that this raw material, this data, pretty much lives in two completely different worlds. On one side, you've got your structured data. This stuff is neat, it's tidy, it fits perfectly into the rows and columns of a spreadsheet. But most of the world's data is unstructured. It's the messy, real-world stuff, your emails, social media posts, videos, and that's the real challenge, because most of our tools were built for that neat and tidy world.
And, there's always a middle ground. Semi-structured data isn't quite as rigid as a spreadsheet, but it uses these little tags to create some basic organization. This is how a ton of modern web data gets passed around.
Okay, so your data has some structure. Now it needs a home. It needs a place to live. And that brings us to this idea of a digital library, or what we call a database.
Now, a database is so much more than just a big folder on a computer. It's a highly organized system. Its entire purpose in life is to help you store, find, update, and manage information as efficiently as possible. Think of it like a tireless, super smart digital librarian for every fact your company knows.
And this digital library system has really evolved. Way back in the 70s, the relational model came along and basically set the standard. That led to SQL databases totally dominating everything in the 80s. But then, the internet exploded. And suddenly we had this new problem: how to handle massive amounts of that messy, unstructured data. And for that, a whole new approach was born: NoSQL.
This really gives us two different philosophies for how to store information. The traditional relational or SQL databases are like building a skyscraper. They're super organized and they scale vertically, meaning you just keep adding more power to one single massive server. But NoSQL databases are more like building a sprawling city. They scale horizontally by just adding more and more servers, which gives them this incredible flexibility to handle the giant, messy data of the modern web.
So when you hear people talk about querying a database, this is all they're talking about. I know this code looks a little technical, but it's really just a simple, specific instruction. It's like walking up to our digital librarian and saying, "Hey, can you please select everything from the flights table? But I only want to see the flights where the carrier is American Airlines." It's just a very precise question.
Okay, awesome. So our data is structured, and it's all stored away in these nice databases. But here's the next big problem. What happens when your sales data is in one database, and your marketing data is in another, and your finance data is in a third? You can't see the big picture.
And that is the job of the data warehouse. I love this analogy. It's like a university campus. You've got the science building over here, the library over there, the arts center way across the quad. They're all separate buildings. The campus is what brings them all together into one coherent place. A data warehouse does that for a company's data.
So how does all that data get onto the campus? Well, it follows a three-step journey you'll hear about all the time called ETL. First, you extract the data from all its different sources. Then, and this is probably the most important step, you transform it. You clean it up, you fix the errors, you make sure everything is speaking the same language. And finally, you load that clean, pristine data into the warehouse, all ready for analysis.
We are so close. The data is collected, it's structured, it's all in one central place. But there's one final, absolutely essential piece of this puzzle. You have to know what it all means. You need a guidebook.
And that guidebook is called metadata. And it is, quite simply, data about your data. It's the context. Without it, a column full of numbers is just a column full of numbers. But with metadata, you know that column represents daily sales figures collected on October 25th by the European sales team. See? Context is everything.
A data dictionary is a really specific and powerful type of metadata. Honestly, the best way to think about it is like the legend on a map. It tells you exactly what every single variable or column header in your data actually stands for. This makes sure that everyone in the company is on the same page and interpreting things the right way.
Let's make this real. Take this classic data set about cars. Without a data dictionary, you just see these column headers like MPG or HP, and they're just abbreviations, right? But the dictionary is the code book that translates them for you, telling you, MPG means miles per gallon, and HP is gross horsepower. It's that simple key that unlocks real understanding.
So, we've gone on this whole journey, from raw, messy facts to structured, centralized, and well-documented information. Why in the world would anyone go through all this trouble? Well, it's all for the payoff. The ability to make genuinely smart decisions.
This whole system we just built, it's the engine that powers modern business. It's what feeds those real-time dashboards that managers are glued to every morning. It's what creates the key performance indicator reports that tell you if you're winning or losing. And it's what makes advanced stuff, like predicting the future with data mining, even possible. All of it starts here.
And at the end of the day, that is the entire point. Every single step, from structuring a piece of data to building a massive warehouse, it all exists for one simple reason: to help people stop guessing and start making decisions based on clear, reliable evidence.
Which kind of leaves us with one last thought. Now that you've seen the blueprint for how noise becomes a signal, think about all the data that's being generated in your own world every single day. If you could organize it all, just like this, what questions would you finally be able to answer?